Yo, what's good everyone? Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite tournament or GPP plays for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. We have 4 games here this weekend, and what I'm going to do is break down each game, giving you some team notes and my favorite plays. With that being said, let's dive right into this. Now, as you might expect here, I'm going to start with the first 2 games on Saturday and then break down the last 2 games on Sunday. I'm going to try and keep this pretty short and sweet though. It's basically week 20 of the NFL season. We all know how these teams have performed. We got the last 8 teams standing, fighting for that Lombardi trophy. And really what I want to do here is kind of highlight the strengths and weaknesses of each team and then break down my favorite plays. So let's get right into this. And so the first game we have on this 4-game slate is the Houston Texans taking on the Baltimore Ravens. Saturday night at 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time is kickoff, being played in Baltimore this weekend. We have an implied game total of 43.5 points. That is the lowest of all 4 games here on this slate. And what I want to highlight here, as you can see, is the offense and defense for both teams, along with their implied total, really showing you how they perform throughout the year. So we got the Ravens here first. Their implied total here this weekend is 26.5 points. That's the 3rd highest implied team total on this slate. Now you can see their offense was great this year, ranked 5th overall in terms of pass DVOA and 1st overall in terms of rush DVOA. Their defense was just as good, ranking 1st overall in defensive pass DVOA and 7th overall in defensive rush DVOA. Now with the Texans here, they have an implied team total of 17 points this weekend. That is the lowest of all 8 teams. They ranked 10th overall on offense this year in pass DVOA and 30th overall in rush DVOA. Their defense wasn't great against the pass this year, ranking 23rd overall in defensive pass DVOA, but they have been stout against the run, ranking 2nd in rush DVOA. Now highlighting some of my favorite plays here, I'm not overly interested in the Houston Texans this weekend, largely due to how good that defense is for Baltimore, but if you're looking to get super contrarian with your tournament lineups, attacking the Houston offense is definitely one way to do that. But I'm going to highlight the Ravens here first. I do like Lamar this weekend. You can see the ownership projections next to each one of these guys. He's around 16.8%. Odell Beckham Jr. should be a great contrarian play here this weekend, sitting at 4.4%. Being that Mark Andrews is not expected to play here on Sunday, I really like Isaiah Likely, one of my favorite plays this weekend. And then the Ravens defense is also in play. Now, on the Texans side of things here, I do like Nico Collins. Definitely someone who should see a lot of volume in this game. 10 plus targets, I would not be surprised. He's been dominant here really over the last month and should be Stroud's go-to receiver in this game, especially if they're playing from behind. Now, I have a lot more interest in this next game, and that's going to be the Packers taking on the 49ers. Saturday night kickoff time at 8:15 p.m. Eastern Time, held in San Francisco. We have an implied game total of 50.5 points. That leads this 4-game slate. Now, the 49ers have an implied total here of 30 points. That's 4 plus touchdowns in this game. That ranks 1st overall out of 8 teams. This offense was truly dominant all year long, ranking 1st overall in pass DVOA, 2nd overall in rush DVOA, and their defense was really solid as well, ranking 4th overall in defensive pass DVOA and 15th overall in defensive rush DVOA. Now the Packers here have an implied total of 20.5 points, just shy of 3 touchdowns. That ranks 7 out of 8 teams on this 4-game slate. This offense just got better as the season went along. Jordan Love was truly great over the last month. They rank 4th overall in offensive pass DVOA, 15th overall in offensive rush DVOA, but their defense has some major issues. They currently rank 26th overall in defensive pass DVOA, 26th overall in defensive rush DVOA. I think the 49ers offense is going to be able to exploit this Packers defense, really like they did with defenses all year long. Now, when it comes to my favorite plays, there's a lot to love in this game. Honestly, I don't think we can go wrong with any one of the big 5 for the 49ers. If you wanted to add in Ayuk here as well, I'd have no problem with that. I highlighted Deebo Samuel here, though, on the wide receiver side of things, because as you can see there, he's only projected for 10.5% ownership. That's really low considering it's a 4-game slate, and I will take advantage of that. Also like Brock Purdy here this weekend, Christian McCaffrey, even though he's going to be super popular, it's hard for me to fade him. He could truly be a slate breaker. And then George Kittle as well, going to be super popular, but he should be able to exploit that secondary for the Green Green Bay Packers. Now, on the Packers side of things here, they're going to come in a lot lower owned, and definitely one way to get contrarian with your lineups this week. I just talked about it. This Packers offense has only gotten better as the season has gone along. I have no problem rostering Jordan Love here, stacking him up with Aaron Jones, Christian Watson. If you want to mix in Dobbs, you want to mix in Jaden Reed, I have no problem with that either, but these were my favorite 3 plays here on the Packers side of things. Now, folks, before we dive into the last 2 games here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. And then another game that I really like here this weekend is that game between the Buccaneers and Lions. This is going to be held on Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time in Detroit. We have an implied game total of 49.5 points. That's the second most out of 4 games on this slate. Now, with the Lions here, they have an implied team total of 28 points, 4 touchdowns. That's the second most out of 8 teams. Their offense was really good all year long and even better at home compared to on the road. So you got that going for them. They rank 7th overall in terms of offensive pass DVOA. 4th overall in terms of offensive rush DVOA. Now, their secondary did get worse as the season went on, and that is going to be exploitable here on Sunday. They ranked 16th overall in terms of defensive pass DVOA, but honestly, it was much worse towards the back half of the season. But they are very, very good at stopping the run. Actually ranked 1st overall in terms of defensive rush DVOA all year long. Now, with the Buccaneers here, they have an implied total of 21.5 points, just over 3 touchdowns. That's tied for 5th out of 8 teams on this slate. Now, this Buccaneers offense ranks 16th overall in terms of offensive pass DVOA this year and 28th overall in terms of offensive rush DVOA. Their defense can be beat through the air, even though their secondary ranked 14th overall in terms of defensive pass DVOA. Their run defense is very good. This has been known for a few years now. They ranked 8th overall in terms of defensive rush DVOA. Now, like I said, there's a lot to love about this game in general. On the line side of things here, I do prefer Gibbs over Montgomery at the running back position. Even though Gibbs likely will be more popular, his involvement in the passing game for the Lions is truly what I'm targeting, especially considering that run defense for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is very legit. I like Amon-Ra St. Brown here. He is projected to be the most popular wide receiver on this slate, so keep that in mind. But another guy who should see 10 plus targets in this game, could go for 25, 30 plus DraftKings points, like Christian McCaffrey, that's hard to ignore. And then Josh Reynolds, I almost went with Jameson Williams here because the Buccaneers secondary can be beat by perimeter wide receivers, but Reynolds was much more involved than Williams last week, so I give Reynolds the slight edge here. But if you wanted to go with Williams, I have no problem with that. He's priced in the 3K range as well. Now, when it comes to the Buccaneers, I'm probably going to be heavier on the Bucs than most this weekend. Definitely one way to get contrarian. You can see their ownership projections on the graph right now. I love Baker Mayfield. I loved how he played last week and really just the chemistry he's building with these wide receivers. Whether it be Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, or you do a double stack with both, that is definitely going to be in play for me this week. If you need to save money, I also think that Cade Otton's in play at the tight end position, priced in the 3K range. And then I don't mind the Buccaneers defense as a contrarian play as well, who are also very affordable. And then to wrap up this 4-game slate, we got ourselves a classic matchup here between the Chiefs and Bills, held on Sunday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff, being played in Buffalo, which could be an edge for them finally. We got an implied total here of 45.5 points. That ranks 3rd out of 4 games on this slate. The Bills have an implied team total of 24 points. That ranks 4th out of 8 teams. Their offense was great this year, ranked 3rd overall in terms of offensive pass DVOA, 7th overall in terms of offensive rush DVOA, and their defense was solid too, ranking 9th overall in defensive pass DVOA and 17th overall in terms of defensive rush DVOA. Can definitely be exploited through the run game. Part of the reason I like Pacheco here, I'll highlight that in a minute. On the Chiefs side of things here, they have an implied total of 21.5 points, along with the Buccaneers, tied for 5th out of 8 teams. Their offense, as we know, hasn't been the same offense we've been accustomed to watching in years past, but still ranked 8th overall in terms of offensive pass DVOA this year, 17th overall in terms of offensive rush DVOA. Their defense might be the best we've seen with Patrick Mahomes. They ranked 5th overall in terms of defensive pass DVOA this year and 27th overall in terms of defensive rush DVOA. They can also be exploited through the running game. Now, I can't say I'm overly thrilled about stacking up this game here. I certainly do like pieces on both sides, but as I mentioned earlier, that game between the Packers and 49ers, along with the Lions and Buccaneers, are my favorite 2 games to target. With that being said, I do like some Bills players here. James Cook is going to be one of my favorite plays from the Bills side of things, coming in with an ownership projection around 24.5%. I don't mind Khalil Shakir if I'm trying to save some money, or Dalton Kincaid at the tight end position. The Bills defense is projected to be the most popular here at 26.5%, but if you wanted to go that route, I have no problem with that. On the Chiefs side of things here, I really like Isaiah Pacheco this week. He's going to be the second most popular running back behind Christian McCaffrey, but I'm willing to overlook that and get contrarian elsewhere. I like Travis Kelce as well. He shows up in these big moments more times than not. And then the Chiefs defense, I think, could be sneaky. As I mentioned, the best defense Patrick Mahomes has ever played with, and they're coming in around 16% ownership, priced in the 2K range. Could be a price saver if you need it. Alright everyone, that is going to wrap up my last NFL video here for the 2023 season. Want to thank you all for watching my NFL content this year. I really do appreciate that. I got hockey content coming out to close out the NHL season as well. If you haven't checked that out, make sure you go do so. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money on this 4-game slate. And in the meantime, I'm out of here.